Our next speaker is Celia Francis. She is the CEO of WeWorld, and she is going to answer one of the questions I think we all want to know the answer to, which is how you take a social app and make it successful as a mobile app.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Yep, that's what I'm going to talk about. So we, in 2010, moved from being a game that was just on the web to starting to take our IP and move it onto mobile. And I'm going to tell you the story of what we did and our experiences. And I hope there's going to be at least a couple of tips and tricks in there that will be useful for you. And also some ideas of what not to do, because we made some mistakes as well. So is almost everyone in the audience a developer? Can I have a developer? Not actually that many. So I wonder what everyone else is. Publishers? Okay, handful. Well, I won't even get into the subsections then of that handful of people who are developers in the room in terms of iOS and so on. But hopefully for the rest of you this is useful. So let me start off with where we started off online. So WeWorld.com, it's a top 10 teen site in the United States with 2.5 million monthly uniques. It is mainly people say it's a casual game, although I have to say since our audience if they come back once, they'll spend a year on the site. I don't know if that's truly casual, but they're really quite into it. They spend a lot of time on self-expression and playing games, and there is a whole leveling system, and there's competition in it, but it's also a lot about social interaction. We make money by selling virtual goods. So in a given month, if you look at the people who log in, 17% of those will buy virtual goods in that month. And if you were to look at all of them, 40% of them will have at some point purchased virtual goods with us. So it's a very highly engaged audience, 35-minute session times. We also make money on ad sales, both from standard media as well as by doing big integrated campaigns with major brands like Coke. Right now we're running a big campaign with Crush, Skintimate, Disney, a whole ton of different big brands have worked with us because it's one of the few places that you can get a really large sort of tween-teen audience that's clean and safe, and you can get a high level of engagement with that audience. So why did we decide to go to mobile? Well, for us specifically, it was something that made sense because we already were seeing that a lot of our teen audience was starting to come in and visit our site using a mobile device, and that this was a growing percentage of our audience. And we also took a look and could see that teens were driving about half of the app economy. If you're looking at the time in 2010, half of the iOS devices were iPod touches, so that was a primarily teen audience. And even now, though that percentage has come down, we know that teens are huge influencers in terms of what other people in their families and peer groups, what they decide to adopt on mobile. So we thought, we should really move to mobile. So, and the other thing we knew is obviously it's a huge market. It's growing. It's doubling in the next couple of years. And we knew we could leverage what we had already figured out how to be good at, which is virtual goods sales and social media advertising. We knew we could take those skills to the next platform. So I don't know, you guys have seen the same stats from other people, but just to kind of review, obviously I know this because my kids have stopped using their DSs and are now stealing my iPad and all my devices, and they're way more into that than they are now, and they're into their gaming machines. And also we're seeing, in fact, that time spent on mobile is getting to be bigger per day. I think it's 94 minutes, according to Flurry, per day now on mobile devices versus 73 or something like that on the web. So it's definitely a big shift over to mobile. We could just see that in our own changes in the way our audience were working, and so it felt really important to us. So what do? We started off with our core IP. This is one of my many Weemies. There's 70 million people in the world who have a Weemie. It's one of the most loved and popular avatar brands. First thing we did is we created an app called Weemie Avatar Creator, which is a really nice app. You guys can all download it and boost our rankings today. We got the word out to our base. So we did have a little bit of advantage. We could market into our web base. We have a big email audience, and then we could also market it on AOL and Skype and Microsoft and other places where we had partnerships. And that first day or so, we just zoomed up the rankings pretty quickly. We didn't pay at all for any of this, so we just started to get up. We got up to number 5 in the social networking category, number 100 overall. And then we were noticed by Apple, I think maybe because of this quick adoption and also because we were getting 5-star ratings. We were featured in What's Hot, which is great. You can't really count on that. That's a bit of an act of God. To this day, I still haven't physically met anyone from Apple, though they've written to us a number of occasions and feature us quite regularly. It's like a magical fairy or something. Anyway, I'd love to meet someone from Apple someday, but it is a nice thing that happens. And so we were then propelled up to number 7, I think, overall in the rankings. Number 1 in the category we were in, which is social networking, and we managed to stay there for a little while. And to this day, we're still consistently in the top 10 in terms of the social networking category, and maintain a good overall position in the market. So that was a good first launch experience. We decided to go ahead then and build some more apps and take advantage of that initial success. We have our focus, by the way, just as a company, just to give you background, is on personalized entertainment. So we're really all about games, but with a creative element. And so we had a franchise around the Weemie. So a talking Weemie application, also in the top 1,000. Following on from that, countdown app, a leveling app. We did an HTML app that played both on Facebook and on the iPad, called Weemie Life, and then we also were pre-installed on Motorola handsets, so we did an Android version of the app, and so far we've had about 3 million downloads, and paid, which is we'll talk about the freemium versus paid, but we're now moving more to freemium, but this for us, it was very important to be profitable right away, and so because we were doing this as kind of initially as a side business, and that did work for us, but like I said, we've gone over to freemium more now. So as you get into going into the mobile market, let me talk you through some of the choices. I think anyone who is a developer probably has already explored a lot of this, but I'm going to take you through those questions of platform, audience, monetization, and distribution. One of my colleagues loves horses, so a lot of my slides have horse. Anyway, so it's a 2-horse race right now, Apple and Android. I think Apple is, 27% of the installed market, Android, 44%. I don't know if I have the exact numbers, but I can tell you that for us, definitely Apple is monetizing a lot better than our Android, but we've probably focused more on it. We did also port to Windows. I know that this is because they paid us, but who knows what's going to happen. They're definitely putting a lot of money into that, Microsoft and Nokia, so who knows, maybe this could be the year where that happens. And of course, there's people who have other people talked about their success with the Kindle Fire, so that's interesting. Like I said, we do also have an HTML5 app, and we're actually about to launch WeWorld.com in an HTML5 version that will be accessible, just the core game that we have on the web, that'll be then accessible via mobile devices. So, like I said earlier, we've been we started off paid or paymium, really, because, by the way, we monetize through the first payment, but then we also have in-app purchases, and from $1 up to $10, so lots of different price points, and we monetize pretty well. It's interesting to see that there's still quite a lot of paid apps, and there's definitely been some chit-chat that I've been having with other developers. Some people are thinking, oh, maybe I'll go back to paid because it's easier to get into the rankings, but I think that there's definitely overall a big momentum and trend towards freemium, because one of the things you can do in freemium that you can't really do in paid is actually buy your way more into the rankings. And it looks like more money is also being generated through freemium apps now than paid or paymium apps. And just a quick review of all the possibilities in freemium. You can have a download for free with in-app purchases. We do that. There's a download for free with advertising. We've also done that. Download for free with paid upgrades, and we've also tried that. So just sort of a quick example. At Christmas, we did an app called Talking Santa, which was a big hit at Christmas. There's, strangely enough, in this picture, an elf. You could make an elf as well. And what we did was we let people, for $1, get rid of the ads and also get 3 additional animations. This was not a bad outcome. We had 2% conversion to paid, but that's not really that good. The range, by the way, that I've been hearing is about 0.5% to 5% conversion, so it's kind of more on the lower end. This example, I think we didn't really offer enough of a good reason to upgrade. Then another piece is advertising. So we obviously bring our big branded campaigns and then upsell them also on being a part of our mobile apps. And another thing that we do is we do kind of very free, just fun, silly things. Like for the royal wedding, we did a countdown, and we still, for some reason, get hundreds of downloads of this app, even though the wedding's long over. But this helps us build a base of people. So we have a growing MAU every single month. And the goal is very much to continually increase that base of people that we can market our new apps into. And we try to look at the lifetime value across all of the apps, the free ones and the paid ones. Although I have to say, just in terms of doing a light version and then a paid version, it's much simpler to just do a light version. You can upgrade inside that same app to the fully featured one rather than doing 2 different versions. I'm not sure that that's a really good strategy. Like I said, in terms of monetization, so on WeWorld.com, we monetize 17% of our logging in users with virtual goods sales, and then in our apps, only 10% so far. But it kind of makes sense because people are really immersed in WeWorld.com, and they stay for a year, whereas on our apps, on average, they're staying 4 months, which is actually also, I think, decent. I haven't really heard a good stat. I've heard actually a stat that seems hard to believe, that the typical tenure on an app is only 20 days, in which case we're doing great. But if anyone has some more stats about what the typical tenure of an app is, let me know. One way or the other, so I can either feel great, yeah, we're doing good, or maybe we could do better, I don't know. But I think if you look at the tenure difference, you could see why on our web property we're still monetizing better in terms of overall percentage of participation than on our apps so far. But we have some other cool pieces coming out that will, I think, even do better. So some tips in terms of how to keep your audience continually engaged. It's really important once you've launched something that it's not just done, because if you want to keep people coming back and playing again and again and again, you need to keep their attention. And so what we do is we do an update pretty much not an update as a new version. We do that regularly as well, but we do some sort of a new in-app purchase or a new featured something every week or so. And we also do free stuff, so it's not just, there's something new for pay. We'll give them little bonuses, a free turkey for Christmas, just some sort of fun little bit and piece so that they can come back and enjoy something new inside the game. And then, of course, we also do a lot of price testing for the things that are paid, and also price segmentation depending on the users. Holidays do super well for us. We always do a new version for every holiday, so pretty much every month there's something going on. This is obviously very US-centric with the Halloween, although I hear that somehow Halloween has started to corrupt all the European countries too. It's coming to the UK and Germany for some reason. I don't know why it's in Germany. It makes no sense culturally, but anyway, it's so this content does play in other countries as well. And then we work with celebrities quite a lot. So Snoop and his double dogs, they sell really well. Justin Timberlake, Domo, bunch of different cool celebrities. We've been working with them anyway on WeWorld, so we've just brought them into our mobile apps, and we actually do revenue shares with these guys. So they're making money off of all this virtual goods business of their likenesses as well, and that's good for everyone. So distribution, it's a really Angry Birds world out there. I'm going to talk a little bit about what it takes to be successful. So half the time of all the time spent on apps is spent on the top 20 apps. And what's interesting is that there's obviously a gazillion apps that are being launched all the time that pop up in the rank and then they go whoop, right back down again. There's not that much movement. There's still a lot of apps that are continually in the top 100. And it's been interesting for us. We keep thinking, gosh, we're going to move out. But, there seems to be some kind of self-momentum if you're in the top and people are talking about you and you've got the attention and you're in the ranks and you have something that's good that people are willing to talk about. It really helps keep you there. So I think it's definitely pretty hard to break in. Don't quote all of this because this is me just putting it together from chats with various people and developers. But what I'm seeing is that it seems like the top 25 apps are getting one third of the revenue. The top 50 are getting half of the revenue in the market. And then the next 51 through 1,000 are getting 25%. So you can kind of see how much you might make per month. And then if you're in the 599,000 at the bottom, you're not making any money. So it's kind of a bit. It's like a very hard lottery. You think you have to be out of 600,000 apps. You have to be in the top 1,000 to make it profitable or give it a chance to be successful. So just to get a sense for how much you have to do in terms of downloads, this is the free rankings. So obviously in the US is a really big market. So 80,000 downloads to get in the top 10 per day. It's much easier if you're Canadian. I have a Canadian citizenship, so yay, Canada. 9,000 only to get in the top 10. It's a bargain. But obviously there's not as many people in Canada, so that's why it's easier. And there is a strategy that some people employ, which is to try to get into the top 10 in a small country and hopefully get noticed. Maybe they'll get a shot at being featured by Apple if they're successful in a specific country. It's a good idea, I think. So if you want to, oh, by the way, in paid, it's less for sure. So it's probably, a tenth of that, like 8,000 per day. But that's still a lot. And by the way, paid, you can't really pay to get into the ranks, which is, you can, but you pay way more than you'll ever make. So unless you have an app that's, I don't know, you're charging $20 for it or something crazy, and people are happy to pay that, then that works. But for the regular Joe app, it's not really a possibility to pay money to get into the rankings in that area. But in free you can, and CPIs from what we've been able to see is 70 cents to $1.50. You've got to work with all of the vendors, so all of the different, Flurry and Tapjoy and Chartboost, and there's a whole bunch. Sponsor Pay. A lot of guys will help you, and you have to work with all of them and maybe you also have to work with another guy to try to help you optimize. And then if you do all that and you pay enough money, then you can get that 80,000 downloads that you might need in a day to get into the rankings. So you've got to have some money. So how do we do it without paying? We are very lucky because we have apps that people love, and they are 40%. When we poll, how did you hear about it? 40% say they heard about it from a friend. And I anecdotally know this is true because a lot of people say, oh, my kids just love your apps and they play them all the time. And I've told my other friends, and there's a lot of kind of mom factor of like, oh, what do you have on your phone? And then, of course, there's that whole teen pass-along factor as well. So that works out for us. The other thing that we've been grateful for is that not all of these people are already existing fans. So at first we thought, okay, great, we'll just have another thing that our fans can get into and extend their lifetime value. But actually it's turned out that there's a whole chunk of people that are new that have never heard of WeMe's, never heard of WeWorld, believe it or not. And so that's been good because we've seen that there's definitely a pump up in our web audience when we have good months on our mobile. So, and we're going to do more with that, especially with our mobile version of WeWorld coming out. We'll be able to create nice little cross-promotional cycles that are easy. So what else? To make that really easy, we make sure that there's an in-app messaging that pops up that asks people to tell a friend about, here's the case, it's the WeMe Avatar Creator. Make sure that it's after a certain number of opens so we know it's somebody who likes it. So really encouraging them and saying very specifically in the text, you know, we're respecting your privacy, blah, blah. We're not capturing this data, so just go for it. We also make viral sharing really easy. Make sure that you can email to a friend, share on Facebook, share on Twitter, and just if it's useful for you, 30% share of using email, 30% share using Facebook. We do get our share of tweets as well. And also, we've had great results in terms of people ranking us with 5 stars. So I think we've got 9,000 5-star ratings at this point, reviews, which is very helpful because this is, again, one of the things that people will look at before they buy your app. And then we encourage 5-star ratings by telling people, please rate us 5 stars and pop that up to the people who have opened your app the most so that you're most likely getting people who actually like your app because, yeah, that makes sense to do, right? And then we do opt-in push messaging. This is a balance, so you have to be careful. You don't want to spam them like crazy. I'm sure you guys have all experienced those apps that just make you mental because there's some kind of ding, 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 ding going on all the time, and that's annoying. You have to be very careful that the message is bringing people some kind of value. But we do see that when the message comes up that we're able to drive rank up, and we're also able to increase sales pretty much every single time. So it's like pop, pop, pop. But if you over pop it, then you start to decrease your MAU because people start to uninstall. So you have to look at your data carefully. Everyone talks about cross promotion. For sure, this is important. This is how we've managed to get other apps that we've launched into the top 1,000, and so we promote it right inside the app, cross-promotion bar in every single one of our apps. And lots of people talk about the metrics, so I won't talk about it. My current favorites are tenure and also time to value, like how long does it take us to get to the full amount that people will pay. It's been interesting for me to see, especially as we've done some freemium things. At first you think, oh, wow, that freemium thing isn't really working, but you don't realize that you're not going to get all the money for a number of months, so you have to keep checking in, and all of a sudden you look again and you say, oh, wow, oh, actually, okay, now we're converting 4%, oh, 5%, and it starts to tick up over time, and so you have to be careful because sometimes it takes a little longer to get to that full lifetime value of your user. So our strategy, like I said earlier, has been very much focused on personalized entertainment, so thinking about all the ways that people can have fun that involve creativity. And we have a whole franchise. We're using our existing franchise, but there's quite a lot of different IP that we have on the web that we're moving over to mobile. Few final tips. Again, focus on your core competencies. For us, it's been teens and kids. Anyone later who's really curious, I've got a really nice app coming out in the next few weeks called Pocket Pup that's just super simple and beautiful and cute. I'm happy to show it to people. Very much, again, focused on this very rich graphics, which is something that we do well, and keeping it really simple and fun and made, our audience is really teens and the moms. But for you, it'll be totally different. In fact, it seems like most people are developing hardcore games or guys, but not me. Listen to your audience. We do a very iterative process. So we build something, put it in front of people and kids at all the different ages, try to figure out, make sure we've got it right, and continually prototype and change it to make sure that it's really perfect. Adapt to the medium. It's really fun as you go from web to mobile because you get all these new pieces. You have the microphone, you've got the ability to move the app and do the stuff within that. You can attach the address book. There's a lot of really cool things you can do, and we've enjoyed that. Creating value and quality is super important. Like I said earlier, the 5-star ratings, that gets you a long way. And then final is just expect change. We've seen over the last couple of years just so many new things coming in terms of platforms, or Apple makes a change about UUIDs. You have to really track all of that. But it's been fun, and we have been able to make money on it. So see what you think. I'm happy to take any questions.
Actually, you kept referring to teenagers and mothers.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the play patterns for moms?
For moms, yeah, we were surprised. On WeWorld itself, we get mainly teenagers, but we get the small bump of older women. Men over a certain age just would stay way away from our play for probably good reasons. But women seem to be in it, and the women that we have, they're playing. Sometimes they say they're actually 40% of the time they say that they're playing for themselves or they downloaded it for themselves. We find that very surprising, but in our surveys it says that they are enjoying that creativity because, like I said, what we do is all about that creative self-expression piece, and they enjoy that. Are you meaning like the difference in the play patterns? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's fine. Okay. All right. Thanks. If you have other questions, let me know.